Northwestern football team. Oh, holy hell.
Yikes.
This weekend, student reporters basically put together an investigative report about what has been going on in the Northwestern football locker room, allegedly. Now, hazing is something that has taken place for a long, long time in a lot of different avenues of life, not just in sports, but in other clubs and fraternities and sororities and other things that you join. There has been things throughout time where you had to accomplish this because everybody else has done this if you want to be a part of our club. A lot of it is, in the past, has been terrible.
Sure. Brutal.
Terrible. The stories I've heard about what people have had to do to join certain clubs, or maybe what a team did to somebody in some other place that I wasn't at and I just kind of heard about. There's been some horrendous stories in the name of hazing so that people can feel as if they did everything everybody else did to become a member of a group. Hazing used to be something that was just kind of understood and not talked about. Then everybody kind of rounded up and said, what the fuck are we doing it? Why are we... Why is this a thing? I was very lucky to never be a part of any teams that had hazing. Our high school soccer team, I guess I got soccer balls like kicked at me, okay, by some upperclassmen or whatever, but they didn't really have that strong of legs, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I think that was really the only time in my life that I've experienced something like that. And at the time, it was just kind of like, yeah, this is how it goes. But since then, there's been stories of horrendous things being done. And as those stories started getting leaked and learned about, the sports community almost said like, hey, all right, we don't need to do this anymore. This is something that doesn't need to exist. When I got to the Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning, who will be joining us in less than an hour, he said like, we need the rookies to play good. So the last thing we need to do is piss off all of the rookies. You used to hear about haircuts happening. I believe Tim Tebow's haircut was obviously out there in the NFL. I had to carry pads and balls and things like that. That's kind of like earn your stripes as opposed to hazing. But the level of hazing that was being talked about happening at Northwestern football, I did not know was still happening at any big name places, really professional places in the sports world anymore. Legitimately did not know that. Call me naive, but I also think a lot of people are just like, we're not really doing this shit anymore. So the fact that what was being reported was reported and we're just now learning about it is also a little shocking.
Yeah.
Because if they were really putting purge masks on and dry humping these freshmen who are making mistakes in practice, and they had a title for it called running, you would think at some point one of these freshmen wouldn't make the team or have a successful career at Northwestern or maybe transfer somewhere else, and they would just say something and this would have got out. Allegedly, this has been happening for a good amount of time where this was just kind of the understood thing that takes place. There was other things talking about other wild antics, I'll say. And then the person that also put this out, or one of the people that put this out, said that the anonymous whistleblower, I guess would be how this is, that's telling this entire story, took a picture of a dry erase board that had a couple of the hazing activities on it. And the way it was reported, the reporter said, and he alleged that this was in the middle of the locker room. So if there was a dry erase board in the middle of a locker room where media, I assume, goes in, family goes in, the team goes in, how long has this been happening? And how are we just now finding out about that? And also follow up like, hey, we kind of stopped doing this. So like if you Northwestern kids could maybe get with the program, that'd be great news. But obviously apologize to anybody that had sports go bad for them. That's a quick way to ruin sports for people. Whenever they feel as if the people they're going to work for and with actually are kind of disgracing them. And that's not a good sports memory. We don't appreciate that. But also, how do we not know about this a lot earlier, especially with the player alleging, which I don't see how this could be true in 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017. I don't know how. Allegedly, Coach Fitzgerald knew about it the whole time. And it was kind of like a part of it, especially if they're saying that's in the middle of the locker room. It's like, how is that even possible that we haven't found out? A lot coming through. We're learning stuff. I think the big takeaway is there's some shit going down in Northwestern right now, and there's probably going to be changes that are made to all of it from it.
Yeah, the Fitzgerald stuff was super interesting insofar as even like they were saying that during practice, like he would be doing like the hand signal like above a guy who, you know, like they had like a hand signal for like, hey, got to run this guy. And this player was saying that like he was even doing that, kind of letting like the upperclassmen know like, hey, you guys got to get this guy. So if it's something like that where it's like
you got cameras at practices.
Yes.
You got cameras in locker rooms. You got so much behind the scenes stuff happening with cell phones, everything like that. If there was naked, what did they say was on the dry erase board in the middle of the locker room? It was like naked slingshot or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
No, not that. That's not the thing that was reported in the locker room. That was another thing that allegedly happened was a naked center quarterback exchange. But there was something on a dry erase board.
Yeah, they said it was like naked slingshot with like exercise bands and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they said that was on the how has that never been?
Yes, just snapped.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that this is, because obviously this is alarming. If any of this is being said, any of this is happening, obviously it's not good situation. But just the whole thought that they're saying how open it was and how the head coach knew, like that doesn't, I don't understand how that has been the case.
Because you think this would have came out a lot earlier because, I mean, 100 players a year at least on a roster. I mean, not everyone's happy.
A lot of transfer, and look at the transfer portal's filled.
Yep.
The former, here's from Adam Rittenberg, the former Northwestern player sent ESPN a screenshot of a whiteboard, which he says was in the middle of the locker room. Images headline Shrek's list and includes a list of players' names and several bulleted items, including naked slingshot and naked bear crawls. So Adam Rittenberg basically said he said that this is in the middle of the locker room. Why won't they just release the screenshot?
Yeah, exactly. Are they trying to protect the player? Or
What is it a selfie with the thing?
I was going to say, yeah.
Or the players that are on there, like the names that are on the list?
Maybe.
Can't you just blur those
them
out?
Yeah.
Because if naked slingshot, and we could probably see like if that's in the middle of
the locker room
or
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's something you probably figure out. Because if it's in the middle of the locker room, Coach Fitzgerald's a part of it. It's been happening for a long time. I have no idea how we haven't heard about this. I don't like that we haven't heard about this, because if we haven't heard about this, if this is alleged all true, and this is obviously being alleged, and the team came back and said, like, this is somebody who had an axe to grind with Coach Fitzgerald. They kind of knew that this was going to take place. The team has come back and said, that Coach Fitzgerald didn't know this, and that this is somebody who's trying to ruin or take down the Northwestern football team, which might be the case, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be the case as well. But how many other things have we not heard about if this is what's being alleged and we haven't heard about, even though the team's saying this didn't happen?
That's why it's so tough because, like, there's a difference between, obviously, it's you can't do it either way, but there's a difference between, like, if there is hazing going on and the coach is kind of aware but looks the other way and lets the upperclassmen and stuff do whatever, and actually being, like, the ringleader and, like, being the one who's like, nope, this is how we do this when you get here. Like, that's a massive, like,
naked bear crawls.
Yeah, exactly.
People
hey,
too.
You're naked slingshot today. You jumped off sides twice. But then also, like, the president, I mean, he suspended him for 2 weeks and then came out immediately after and he was like, yeah, that was a bad decision. We're gonna have to go back and kind of think long and hard about what we're actually gonna do here. So, like, it does seem like he's in serious hot water.
Definitely. I mean, if any of that was happening, he's in trouble because obviously it's his team, his program, his organization. But the whole, like, I don't see, because, like, we had Rich Rodriguez as our coach and Coach Stu senior year, but Rich Rod for the first 3 years. There was definitely stuff that we were potentially doing that he did not know about.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Now, granted, could he have found out about it if he wanted to? I would assume.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we had parties with his entire graduate assistant coaching staff. And then the next morning, he had a meeting and asked, everybody that was basically at the party to stand up and all the graduate assistants to basically come to the front of the room and said, when you guys are partying, these are the guys that you're fucking. 1 year left. These guys are trying to make a living. And you guys are having parties and a good time. And I was looking at a lot of glossy eyes from motherfuckers that are all at my potential party. I'm seeing this whole thing. So there is obviously a world in which the head coach is isolated because he doesn't want to know, or could potentially find out, or just, hey, don't tell him.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of see the investigation roll on. But yeah, that was an alarming shit to read happening in 2023. I thought hazing has kind of slowed down and kind of changed a little bit. Still got to earn your way in some places. I believe in that. Still got to earn your stripes over. Herbie and Mitt do the trash still.
Right.
You know what I mean? Herbie is going to go grab something out of a car if it is needed. Herbie's going to go pick something up if it's needed.
Exactly.
Like, that's not hazing, though. That's
We're
hey, you're the new guy.
We're not stripping him down butt naked and throwing footballs at him while he crawls across the basketball
Yeah,
court.
but what I'm saying is like everywhere potentially has these things for the new person. So not everything can get lumped into like they're hazing me. Like, no, like they're just seeing if you're the right person to be there. So like that is a whole nother conversation in this entire thing as well. But that shit can't be happening. And if it didn't happen and this person's just raising hell right now, I hope it comes out and I hope that person gets ruined on the other side as well.
Fitzgerald's been the head coach since 2006. He's been there since 2001. Like, did he take this over and it's been happening for fucking 18 years, or like did he just implement this in 2015? Like, what the fuck? Well, that's also like how did this happen?
So you think when he laid out his plan to be the coach, I love this place. You remember what we used to do? We used to run guys. He's in his interview with the president.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Coach?
Like around the field?
No. Around the locker room.
Elephant walk.
How so?
Bunch of dongs humping them.
Oh.
Purge mask. Whole thing. That's what we used to do.
The team
How do
is
you get
good?
Northwestern back? We gotta
do that.
we gotta do that.
We institute that tomorrow.
That's crazy to think.
Like,
Yeah,
we used
at
to do
Northwestern,
it with
too.
fucking no pants on, but now we dry hump. So it's cool.
Yeah, modern day, everything's weaker these days. Let's pivot away. We hope none of that happened for the sake of everybody involved. Feels like that did happen somehow.
Yep.
We'll continue to keep an ear to the ground.